Good day, people. As you might have seen in the last video, I showed you this snare here, and I'm gonna go over the kicks in this video. So without further ado, let me just show you this little trio here. Let's get a rack in. These little guys, I got them from a sample pack that I got years ago from a friend and producer of mine. He showed me the ropes and reason, and he gave me off this sample pick. I think it's sort of got all the different sounds from different sample packs, like different sources, and they're more like the old school stuff. As you can hear, they're all really processed, but there's a lot of good stuff in here that I usually go for and sculpt forward, into new sounds. In this case, I sort of knew what I wanted in this little track, and I wanted the grainy, whooshy little snares instead of going kicks. I'm sorry, instead of going for a 4 with a bit of noise, So I chose these little guys here. They're like a little trio. You can either come from the same source, just different recordings. They're processed as well, as you can hear. It's probably quite a bit of compression on here to bring out the noise, probably from the preamp or whatever. But to me, they're nice and raw, and I can keep on sculpting. But because I didn't have to tune them in terms of pitch and everything, and they all sound roughly the same, I just know I can route them to a separate sub bus and do all the processing there, so I don't have to do all these settings on all individual channels, because it's too much of a headache. It's better off just selecting all these three, go to route 2, new output bus, name it kicks, and do your processing there. This is how the sound with all the processing. This is without. And a good thing with these type of samples is you can switch in between them in the sequencer. To get a real defined groove. Bypass them one by one. First thing I did is tonal shaped them a bit. I wanted to get more depth out of it. As you can hear, they're more shallow now without EQ. This brings out much more of the deeper tonality. Brings out the low end a bit as well. This midsection is a bit nasally. As you can hear, not something I wanted at this particular moment. What might happen though is in the mix I might boost it back later, thinking forward and be well, I might want to have this midsection in the mix later on, so I'm not gonna cut it down, because this is a new starting point instead of the raw ones. And from here on, they're gonna go through more devices, give them more processing, so you'll end up with a completely changed up kick. My bad. So next thing I did is add in tape distortion. I absolutely love the tape distortion, especially in drums. They're so raw, and it's got such a nice character to it. Quite a bit of damage, as you can see. It's a bit of this P1 on tape distortion. It says speed, but I think it's coherent with the tape speed, So in this case, in Reason on this device, it sort of acts like a low pass filter. Quite a bit of compression. Next thing up, bit of EQing again, and I use the body section. This is without. This is with the body section. Normally I don't really go for this body section, because to me it's most of the time in my cases it's too obvious, but in this case it really worked well. As you can hear without, it's like it's too punchy, it's too obnoxious, it's too in your face, and the trenches just get annoying. And with the body section at these settings, in this case, this sort of rounds things off just a little bit. Next up, another EQ. You can hear it like sort of changes things up again. You get a lot of like the air being removed by this low pass filter. I think it's gonna be too much, leaving it is. Well, we'll see that later on. Just a bit of boost on 4.7, a little bit of boost here, some low end boost, get more punch, and then another M-class EQ, which gives quite a bit of tonal difference. As you can hear, this section sounds quite a bit annoying to me. It's like it moves away from the focus, you know, like the actual kick. I mean, all the rest, like the grizz, the hiss, and the grainy thing after the initial punch, I want them to be there, but I don't want them to be obnoxious, you know. This bit here, like around the 160 range, is usually a really problematic frequency on a lot of low end stuff. So when you got like muddy material, I really advise you to take an EQ, boost up the gain, narrow the EQ, and swoop around the frequency. You can hear how it really gets really ugly down here. This is where like the resonance is. So this is like the focal point of the low end mud problem frequency, and you just dial it back down. Even widen the Q a bit here. So this gives a lot more focus to the low end. Here is the low pass filter, which isn't doing anything at all. I think I remember sort of like playing with a bit of automation. Give it a typical low end filtering effect. I think I like had it on a breakdown or sort of an intro section in the old composition. I just leave it in here as a little annotation, because I might want to do it again later on in the mix. So just have it in there, everything's dialed in already. Only thing gotta do is like edit automation, go into the sequencer and draw a little automation line. In this case I'm just gonna remove it in terms of organization. So yeah, last thing on these little kicks is more compression, but in this case it's really subtle. As you can see in here, there's a big a volume change as well, because I crank down on the input gain, and the compression on this is just really subtle, but it sort of gives just a little bit more focus again, and sort of like keeps everything in check. As you can see, like compresses all the time with like 1 and 2 dB. Every now and then it spikes up to like 3, 3.5, maybe 4. So it just, yeah, like I said, it keeps the volumes in check. Brings out the tonal changes on this out as well. So yeah, that's these kicks. Again, I really hope it inspired you guys to go down the same route. Again, just go and experiment. Take a few hours, completely trash things up, find new settings, play around, experiment. I mean, that's what music's about, you know. Experiment, have fun, and just give yourself some time to do it. If you got any questions, feedback, whatever, leave a comment. Otherwise, give a like, subscribe if you want to see more. See you guys in the next video. Peace.